I just want you to understand. You've been an absolute lifesaver for us. Well, I want you to understand that.
Well, thank you. In this video series, watch me flip a house from start to finish remotely or virtually in Michigan. That means I found a motivated seller, negotiated a price on the phone, digitally signed a contract, purchased the property using a traveling notary, rehabbed the property with local contractors, and then resold it to a retail buyer and made a $60,000 profit without ever seeing the property in person. On this part 1 video, watch me negotiate the price live with the seller from $375,000 down to $200,000. Coming up.
For a limited time, you can get a free copy of Jerry Norton's Virtual Flipper Kit with everything you need to flip houses without seeing them in person. Download it now at virtualflipperkit.com.
If you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton and I make millions of dollars a year wholesaling and flipping houses. And here on my YouTube channel, I show you how to do the same. So if you want to be a flipping genius like me and live your dream life, subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. This was a high equity motivated seller lead in Oakland County, Michigan that came from my Flipster system. He owed about $125,000 on his loan and his house was worth close to $400,000, so he had about 70% equity. By the way, if you've never heard of Flipster, it's a cloud-based all-inclusive system for managing all of the steps to wholesaling and flipping houses, including the very best on-market and off-market motivated seller leads. To learn more about Flipster and see it in action, just go to getflipster.com. And one of the methods I use to secure good deals is to take a list of motivated sellers, such as high equity leads, skip trace the list to get the phone numbers, and then have my virtual assistant cold callers call the leads to see if they are interested in selling. All of those steps are done using Flipster. Now, once the cold caller finds an interested seller, he or she gathers some basic information and then passes that warm lead on to one of my acquisitions managers to negotiate and close the deal. Since I run my business virtually, that means all of this happens using Flipster and over the phone. Now, on this particular lead, I took the warm lead and called the seller myself, which I like to do sometimes, makes for good content. So let's cut to the initial call with the seller, Frank, and then I'll break it down and explain what's happening. Hi, Frank. You spoke to my team, I think, earlier today regarding your property out on Ramsey?
Yes, I did.
Great. Do you have a minute to talk about that?
Sure, I'm in the car, but we'll do it.
Now, you're currently living in the home?
Oh, yes.
Gotcha. But you're looking to sell. How soon are you looking to do that?
Under perfect situation, I'd like to close, and then you guys give me 45 days, and I'll pay to stay there and finish up.
Yeah, we do that sometimes, a rent back agreement. Okay, so let me stop right there. The reason why I asked how soon he was looking to sell was to find out the urgency of his situation. Now, I already know from my cold caller that he wants to sell right away, but I want to ask him myself to find out what's going on. Now, I know he has a lot of equity. He knows he has equity. The question is, how soon does he want to close and get some cash in his pocket? Now, his answer was interesting. He said he'd like to sell the house and then get 45 days occupancy. Now, this is common with sellers who need the cash from selling their house to have money to then move and secure a new place to live. This seller is 60 years old and in poor health, and he wants to downsize into an apartment. Now, I told him I'd be willing to do what's called a rent back agreement, which we'll come back to because this was very important to Frank, the seller. Next, I asked him about the condition of the property. Take a listen. What can you tell me that's going on there? What are some of the major issues that would need done?
Everything is workable.
Yeah.
There's nothing not working. I'm sure they'll want to redo the bathrooms.
Yeah.
The kitchen does not have granite in it.
Go ahead.
The other thing is I added a garage. It's a 2.5-car garage attached.
Okay, so is there like a driveway that comes around and then goes to the garage on the side?
The driveway goes right straight into the garage. Now, next to that is a 28 by 32 garage, and it's insulated and heated.
Okay, so it's got an attached garage to the house and then a separate detached garage.
Right.
Gotcha, okay, great.
The house is lacking. You can tell it's lacking. I'd rather take the hit and get out
Well, that's the benefit of what I can do. So I would buy it as is. You wouldn't have to do anything. You know, no repairs made, no commissions to a real estate agent, showings, none of that.
Right.
No inspections from a buyer, you know, wanting you to do this and that. It would just be as is, cash, you know, close quickly and done. Really convenient.
Okay.
We come to an agreement on a price. I have an agreement that we would sign that's digital. So I would fill that out, email it to you. You can sign digitally, you know, like a DocuSign right on there.
Okay.
And then I usually put a couple days of inspection on there just to give me a little window of time to send my guy out there. We'll just double check everything, make sure there's nothing going on, like a foundation issue. You know, as long as that pencils out, then we move forward and we schedule a closing and get it done.
Do you think it's possible to do the closing and then get the 45 days? Or?
Yeah, I would be willing to do that. Typically when I do that, we hold a little bit of proceeds in escrow.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I totally understand. I'm not looking for the full check at that closing.
Yeah, hold back something just so keeps you motivated to want to move out and we don't have any issues there.
Exactly. I mean, we're plenty motivated.
Okay.
At this point, with my health and everything, we're looking to go into 3-bedroom apartments.
Okay.
At ground level with
Yeah.
a 2-car garage.
So when I asked about the condition, he pointed out the additional heated 2-car garage, which is a huge bonus for this property because this house is in a more rural location. All the homes have 2 to 5 acres, and someone looking for a workshop or someone who likes cars would love this property. Now, he also said that the house was lacking and that he'd rather take a hit and get out than fix it up. And I want you to notice, I told him all of the benefits to what I can do for him. I can buy it for cash, I can buy it as is, so he doesn't have to fix up anything. No showings and no commissions, and it's a simple and convenient process. Okay, so next he jumps right into price with me by telling me that he believes the retail value of his home is $375,000. Watch how I respond to that. Take a listen.
Now, like a year ago when I had a real estate broker look at it, they said because of the houses in our area, they would list it at between 360 and 375. And
yeah, so I took a look at the area over there, and I kind of spread out. So I went north of Seymour Lake a little bit, and east and west, and I put in some filters of your square footage, range, and I put in there between 2 and 4 acres. There's a couple of recently sold homes that are similar in square footage as you, similar size. Like I'm looking at one up near Granger, and it sold for $375. It's got a pond, really nice lot, but it's all done. Like it's totally all updated.
Right.
And there's another one nearby for $385 that's updated, similar as well, a little bit bigger. It's 2,700 feet. There's one over here on Lockwood. It got $310, and then another one over off of Sashabaw, a little bit further, what would that be, east, and it got $340. So when he said that a real estate agent told him $360,000 to $375,000, I responded by going over the comps with him. This is a technique I only use when the seller is savvy and tries to use logic with me. So I pointed out that he's right about $375,000, but the homes selling at that price are completely updated. Him and I both know his house is not updated. By using comps, I was able to quickly establish with him that his house is not going to sell for anywhere near $375,000. So now comes the moment of truth. Is Frank really motivated or not? 9 out of 10 sellers you talk to are not very motivated. That's normal, don't sweat it. Keep going if that happens. Talk to another seller. Your job is not to create motivation, but to find an already motivated seller. So after debunking Frank's retail value, listen to what happens when I ask him what he wants for a hassle-free cash offer. For a cash offer to come in and do this, no commissions, no closing fees, really simple process to get it done. What would an offer like that look like? What would a price like that need to be for you?
oh, Jesus. I'd like to get 250, but I would talk a little lower.
For me, for this to work and be able to come in and do this cash, I'm probably going to need to be closer to the 200 number.
Okay.
Wow, he went from $375,000 down to $250,000. That's a huge drop in price, and he also said he would go lower. Now remember the question I asked. Write this down. For a fast and convenient, as is, all cash offer that won't cost you anything, what price do you need for an offer like that? Then be quiet. Now, $250,000 still doesn't work, so I told him I need to be closer to $200,000. Take a listen to how he responds, trying to use logic again with me.
I don't know if I'm willing to do that much. As I said, from what I checked around to get what needs to be done, we were looking right around that 50,000 area. Well, if that's the case, and you sell it even for 350, you're talking $75,000 to $80,000 profit. And
well, that's
I know you got to pay somebody and all
yeah,
that.
that's gross because
fees and all that, but still.
Yeah, but you got to think about all that though, because 350, if you've got, you're talking about $30,000 right there in just closing fees with commissions and closing fees. And then you've got, all the work to do to renovate it, all the time. And I think the rehab's probably closer to 75 just because everything's just gone up, double or triple what it used to be.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. See if you can do somewhere between 215 and 220.
Okay.
Okay?
So he responds to my price of closer to $200,000 with, I don't think I can go that low. And then he tells me it's only going to cost $50,000 and I'll make an $80,000 profit. Now, this is a common misunderstanding by many sellers. They misjudge how much it really costs. They don't factor in closing costs to buy and sell. They don't think about commissions to resell, nor the cost of financing and all of the time and effort that goes into rehabbing a house. And after pointing that out, he comes down to $215,000 to $220,000. Next, he brings up again getting 45 days occupancy. Take a listen.
What would you think about for the 45 days? How much would that cost us?
Typically what I do is I just look at kind of like what would something cost to rent. It's not so much that, like we can make that reasonable, I don't know, $2,000 or something. But if we just held back, I don't even need to hold back a ton, but just hold back, I don't know, 10,000 or something that you would get when you leave, then I would be open to that. And that is a big deal too, because then I got to buy it, tie up the money, and then wait. So that's a kind of a big benefit to you as well. I think I could come up a little bit. Like I really want to be at 2 on it. If we can do like 210, 215, I do a rent back agreement for 45 days. I think I can make that work. If you're open to that, let's put it together and see if we can make that work. So what we'll do is it'll take us about 10 minutes to draw up an agreement. I'll email it over to you, and then we'll get back on the phone and just walk through it together. If everything looks good, then you initial it and sign it digitally right on your email, right on your computer. Then we got an agreement in place, and then I'll send my guy out there and we'll do our walkthrough, make sure that's good, and then we'll move forward.
Sounds like a winner.
All right. Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon, Frank. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So let's talk about giving a seller occupancy after closing. Allowing the seller to have occupancy is a huge benefit that if you're willing to provide, it really separates you from other buyers, especially retail buyers who are less likely to provide occupancy, especially 45 days. And they'll want immediate occupancy, but you have to be careful when allowing a seller to stay in the property after closing. There needs to be a big incentive to move out. So usually what I do is I rent the property back to the seller. I had mentioned $2,000. And also at closing, hold back a portion of the proceeds until he moves out. I had mentioned holding in escrow $10,000, which he was totally fine with doing. Now I ended up doing $3,000 to rent it back for 45 days, and we held $15,000 in escrow. By the way, I'll give you my rent back agreement that I use. You'll want this because it's common for sellers to need some occupancy after closing. And best of all, I'll give it to you for free. I'll put the download link in the description box below this video for you. So we ended up settling at $215,000. Now, once he was in front of his computer, I emailed him a digital contract that comes included with Flipster. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out. Now, I do not send the contract until they are in front of their computer and ready to review and sign. The reason is the seller may be talking to other cash buyers and use your contract to shop your price. So once in front of his computer, Frank and I reviewed the contract together and he signed it. Now, once we had a fully executed contract for $215,000 with a 10-day inspection contingency, I sent my boots on the ground, who in Michigan happens to be my little brother Kevin, to do a property walkthrough. Remember, I have not seen this property yet. Now, this is very important. I typically do not like to send someone to do a walkthrough until after I get a contract with an inspection contingency. The reason is I don't want to waste my time or my boots on the ground's time without first having a contract in place. So Kevin, my brother, met Frank and did a walkthrough. And for those of you interested in doing deals virtually like me, I did a video that explains how to find and train your very own boots on the ground. I'll put that video link in the description box below so you can check it out later. And I also have a training guide with specific instructions for your boots on the ground to use when doing a property walkthrough. I'll give that to you for free as well. I'll put the download link in the description for you. Now, during the walkthrough, we confirmed that the house is awesome, but the problem was it was full of stuff. Both garages, the basement, and most of the house had junk from floor to ceilings. This would be a big expense that I did not factor into the deal. So I called up Frank to discuss a price reduction. Take a listen. You know, thanks for having my brother come out there and do a walkthrough.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I talked to him about that. And so everything's fine on the house, but I do want to talk to you about vacating the property and what it's going to take to get that place emptied out and, broom swept clean. You're moving into an apartment, right? And you're going to get a storage unit for some things. You're really going to need to let go of 95% of all that stuff, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and this is going to be amazing for you, Frank, to downsize, get into something really manageable, with your health and everything. And it's going to be life-changing.
With all due respect, there is nothing you're telling me that I don't already know because I can't wait to just roll up a dumpster and start throwing.
Yeah, so this is what I want to talk to you about. So I've got guys, I've got a crew, and I do this all the time. We just did one up in St. Clair Shores on a house I bought, and it was half the size of your house. Took every bit of 5 dumpsters to empty it out. Yours is going to be double that. It's going to take about 10 dumpsters to, just get rid of everything.
Maybe, but I doubt it. I'll go with you for right now.
Yeah, it will. I've done this a lot. It's just, you got both garages, the basement, all the rooms. There's just a lot. You got stuff on the outside. Here's what I want to propose to you.
Okay.
It's going to take a 3 to 4 man crew for about a week to just do the whole thing. And then I would budget about 10 dumpsters. I've got an idea of what that would cost, what I would pay my guys to do it, and what all the dumpster fees are. I'll just do the math with you real quick.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Jerry, let's I'm going to cut to the chase a little bit.
Okay.
You were going to give us $215.
Right.
Let's say it's $200, but you're going to take care of getting rid of this stuff.
That's
that fair?
That's exactly what I was going to propose. Yeah, you read my mind.
Okay.
I was just trying to explain my way there, but I think you read between the lines.
It was already in my mind. Because I felt your brother out a little bit, who is a very nice gentleman, and the gentleman with him was very nice.
Yeah, they're great. My brother's awesome. He really is a good guy.
See, it just...
Now, not only was me doing the trash out the only way that this deal would work because he's older and in poor health and he would not be able to manage that magnitude of work, but it was going to be expensive to get it done the right way. So he volunteered to drop the price from $215,000 to $200,000 if I would handle the trash out. Now, that was his idea, but you have to realize something here, and Frank understood this. There is no way this property could have sold retail. It would have been extremely difficult to show to buyers with all of the stuff in it. A buyer would probably not be able to give 45 days occupancy, and a buyer would not be open to handling doing the trash out. We later helped Frank move some of his things into storage and move some of his things into his new apartment. None of that would have been possible listing this property with a real estate agent. Given all of the circumstances, this seller needed an investor like me. Let me ask a question. Do you think Frank was upset that I bought his house for $200,000 and then later sold it for $400,000 and made a profit? Of course not. He was so extremely grateful. Take a listen to what he said after agreeing to handle the trash out.
I just want you to understand. You've been an absolute lifesaver for us. Well, I want you to understand that. I've got you on speaker. My wife is here. That's the only person here.
Gotcha.
Like
Hi.
the biggest hug ever. Like you don't even know.
Say that again. You want to give me a big virtual hug? Is that what you said?
Yeah. When you eventually get to town, we'd like to at least have a coffee with you, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. That would be great. I would really like that too.
We're both diabetics, so we really can't drink. That doesn't mean you can't, but
I don't drink anyway, so it's all good. People talk all the time about helping sellers in this business, and I have to tell you, it felt so good to help Frank, and I made a lifelong friend, and I feel so blessed to be able to make a difference in this business. So lastly, I explained to Frank that we'll amend the price and schedule a closing. Take a listen. So right now, what I want to do is I want to amend the price per our agreement and then waive the rest of inspection. So then we're fully green light under contract with a closing date. I'm gonna let title know today, open escrow.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being so understanding.
No, thank you. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
So since we already had an executed contract in place, rather than redo the contract with a new price of $200,000, instead I sent Frank a simple price reduction addendum, which I'll give you for free. You know the drill. Download link in the description box below. So after that, we closed on the property. We gave Frank 45 days to get moved into his new apartment. And during that time, we did the entire trash out and then renovated the house and put it up for sale for $400,000 and got a full price offer and just closed a few days ago for a $60,000 profit. Now, if you really like seeing live how I negotiated and renegotiated this deal, leave a comment and say, thank you, Jerry, for the free game and the free resources. You are a flipping genius. And if you'd like to see how we renovated the property, what we did to it and didn't do to it, a before and after transformation, and a breakdown of the numbers, leave a comment and let me know you'd like to see a part 2 video. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. With almost 800 videos, this is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things flipping, and I'll see you on the next video.